Hello, and welcome back to what is going to be the third review of Flight Simulator 2024. This time we're going to dive into career mode. Granted, I have put this off for a little bit because I struggle with career mode quite a bit, and we'll dive into that. But before we do, if you haven't watched the previous two covering free flight as well as helicopter flying, this is a good opportunity for you to go back and kind of get an understanding of the basics. And while we head into career mode, there is one thing I should address that was mentioned on one of the previous videos is people having a lot of issues, having crashes to desktop. These kinds of things, it's hard to draw a line on. Microsoft has to be aware of the massive amount of times people crash to their desktop. I've had the same thing happen to me as well. We're on Sim Update 3 at this point, so Microsoft has definitely had a lot of chances to create a more stable environment, but it is still something people run into. I haven't had it happen in a while, but that is not to discount that this is something that does happen to a lot of people, especially in career mode. For a lot of people, career mode is inherently broken. Nonetheless, we're going to go and take a look at it. Now, as you see, we have loaded into the headquarters. It's a very busy screen. In the top left, you have your level. This is your level. You get XP from flying jobs, right? It's very basic. You fly through the levels, literally. I got to level 130 very easily. The next one is your reputation level. Your reputation is determined by how well of a job you do on any given flight. So as you go through career mode, you will get points deducted off of your total score if you make mistakes during career flights. Now, at the bottom you have a couple of things, and you will not have all of this when you start out. When you start out career mode, you start at absolute zero. So certifications is the first one, and this is the big one. Because you start out with your private pilot license, and there will be a limited amount of missions available to you. You will have to fly a couple of basic missions to get enough money to be able to take these additional courses, and these will open up additional opportunities for you to fly and obviously higher paying jobs. On the right hand side you have helicopters, which starts with the commercial pilot license as well, which has a lot of missions where you just fly someone around or do a sightseeing tour. Once you get the turbine engine rating, you can fly the Airbus H125. This also opens up the cargo missions. Hoist endorsement is for rescue missions. And the airline transport pilot license for rotorcraft opens up the sky crane as well as the Chinook. You'll see that the powerlift rating is not available yet. It says it will be in a future update, but remember what I said earlier. We are on Sim Update 3. The game has been out for almost a year. It is a little concerning that that hasn't moved forward yet. What you can also see in the little panel that shows you how many credits it will cost to do that. Now, normally, when you go through these, I'll click on one. There is an entire training course for each, right? An introduction, basic maneuvering, how to use the collective. It goes through the whole thing. If you feel comfortable and you've been practicing, for example, in free flight, you can just skip all of these and just go straight to the exam. I have done that on multiple occasions. Probably not the best, but a pass is a pass. Now, you'll see I passed this with a B, and once you pass it, you will see what becomes unlocked here is the little G2 helicopter. The same for if you start going further up for the turbine engine rating, you'll see that you get the Robinson R66 and the Airbus H125 once you pass that. So that is in basis how it works on the helicopter side. On the airplane side, it is a little more convoluted. They really did their best to split it out into as many ratings as they possibly could. Some of these are just to get bigger planes when you think about the turboprops, jet engines, that kind of stuff. But other ones unlock truly brand new missions. The tailhook endorsement, for example, opens up jobs where you can fly banners. So if you're not into passenger transport but would like to do other fun stuff, that unlocks banners. The scoop endorsement will unlock waterplanes, so you can do firefighting missions. And once we get to the top, you see the highest you can get here is jet airlines. I passed mine. I don't know how. I'm not great at jet airliners. I also have zero interest in them. But here again, what you see is the heavy airliner rating, and you see the Beluga in the picture. I know a lot of people are excited, like, ooh, you get to fly a big heavy airplane. Still not available, unfortunately. So it's important to keep this in mind. You need to make money so that you can buy these exams and courses, and once you pass them, you unlock new missions. Specializations is not entirely the same. Specializations are split out between planes and helicopters, and you can see they have different requirements. First flight is literally the first one. It just has a level requirement and the private pilot license requirement. This unlocks a bunch of airplanes, and what you're going to be able to do with that is a bunch of first flights for people. These are very short, very easy, and we'll do one in a little bit. Ferry flights, flight seeing, skydiving, cargo transport, aerial advertising, these all largely speak for themselves. Search and rescue is kind of an interesting one because in some cases it expects you, especially for the endorsement, it expects you to land and pick someone up, which can be a little frustrating because the plane definitely doesn't always do what you want it to do. Aerial firefighting I have done. I enjoy these missions, but they are long and they are not rewarding. So you're doing those mostly for the fun. And you go all the way down the list until you get to cargo transport. Even if I met all of the requirements for this, you need to remember that when we look at the certifications, I would still not be able to get the certification as it has not been released yet. So that is your certifications and specializations. The next one is companies. Now, it's really important for you to remember that when you start out, you do not own a company. You need to have a certain level, and you need to basically pay for the privilege. But once you get a company, you can also, in my case, I just have one, and you can see my fleet. I just have 3 helicopters that are assigned to the same one. And when you look at the company itself, you have the fleet. This kind of speaks for itself. One important point to remember is that if you would like your airplane to make money for you and not fly it yourself, set the crew to on, and it will fly while you're flying. Meaning to say that as long as you are flying career mode missions, so will they. And they will basically make money. Once you log in, you'll see your reward for those. Your overview, you can see I haven't played career mode at all over the last week or so. And density areas just shows you, depending on the time of year, where there is a density of missions. Now, you can create more companies. Mine is for flight seeing. but you can have all sorts of different options if you wanted to. You have to progress further and further to get there, but that's the basis of how companies work. Again, though, you will not have that opportunity until you've completed a certain number of missions, achieved a certain level, and have the prerequisite money. Now, you can see I clicked on missions, and what you will get is the world map, right? This is what my world map looks like, and you'll see hotspots. And all of these individual hotspots are places that I've flown to. Everything that's dark is not because it's nighttime, it's because I haven't unlocked it yet. And what that means in a lot of cases is that you have to be very particular about where you start out, where you pick your first missions, because your first missions only go short distances and they largely determine which area of which country you start opening up first. I have a little bit of space in North and South America. I have most of this area of Europe open, a little bit of Africa, but it's not much, a little bit of Japan, and overall it's honestly not a lot yet. So I feel like a large part of the experience in career mode is grinding, because every time you land in an area it opens up one circle, and this, for example, is a localized circle. This is the entire area that opens up when you land somewhere in this area. Usually it comes from the center, so I probably landed here, which should be, is that about the center? No, this would be about the center, wouldn't it? So I landed there once. It opens up this whole area, and it makes missions available that are available to you. I know that sounds confusing, but for example, if you do not have access to flying medium cargo transports, this mission will not show up for you. If you don't have firefighting yet, you will not get this one. You will only get missions that are appropriate to you. So hopefully that kind of explains the map view itself, but let's take a look at the icons itself. Like you just saw, the little box, these are cargo missions. They can be light, medium, or heavy. Whatever plane you get depends on how much it is. These with the little key are ferry flights. A ferry flight is just moving someone's plane from A to B. These are not super rewarding, but they are very easy. You have no passengers, which means you at least don't get any points off for damaging cargo because you're flying too rough or through turbulence. You don't get money off because your passengers don't like the way you banked. So they're easy, they're not very rewarding, but they are pretty good practice missions, and if you need to make money anyways, these are easy to pick up. Now here you see it has a little multicolored icon. What that means is that there's more than one mission departing the same place. These are first flight missions. First flight missions are really your bread and butter when you start out. First flight is literally what it says. You're taking someone on their first flight. We'll do one of these shortly, but making sure we go over these. Aerial firefighting, this is extended attack. So you get the large Viking Air CL-415 airplane. You usually have to scoop. You have to do 7 attacks most of the time. And you will have to scoop 6 times because you start with a full tank. So keep that in mind. The scooping is not easy. You get the hang of it after a while, but it's not easy. These are definitely missions that take pretty much their full duration, and they are, I'd say, pretty hard. But they are very rewarding. You get a good amount of money, and it's kind of hard to screw them up once you learn how to drop the water appropriately. Skydiving, these are generally short missions, but they are very strict about the airspace and the space that you take up. It's climbing incredibly fast and coming back down incredibly fast. there is like this constant pressure to keep things moving along. I find them a little uncomfortable because of that. I also find for the amount of pressure it puts on you, it's not very rewarding. If you don't mind someone yelling in your ear constantly that you need to hurry up, then by all means, skydiving missions are for you. I think that covers everything. Well, we haven't shown this one yet. Aerial advertising. You get a little airplane with a tail hook. You take off, you grab a banner, you fly the predetermined route, and you drop it back off. These can be rewarding. They are a lot of fun because they take a certain amount of skill. So if you're into the small aircraft skill game, this is for you. Now, the last one here that you see is the helicopter with the cargo. The picture gives it away, right? You take off with your helicopter, it has a hook, you hang it over whatever you're supposed to pick up, and you fly it from one place to the next. Oftentimes it is, for example, along the coastal ways. You pick it up from a supply ship, and then you drop it off on an oil rig. But let's take a look further and see what other missions we have, just so you make sure you know at least everything that's available here. So these are passenger flights, the little captain's hat. These can be with people, these can be with helicopters or airplanes. And I will sometimes do them if they happen to go to an area that I need to explore, but otherwise, usually not. Here we go. There's a VIP flight hidden there. These are also passenger flights. These are way more rewarding. They're not difficult because in this case you see it's with a PC-12, right? It's not a big airplane. It doesn't have a lot of people in it. This is the same airplane that you use for example, medium cargo flights. Just put that thing, on autopilot. It'll get to where it needs to go. Generally, they're not difficult and very rewarding. If you're into passenger flights, I really recommend these. Now, you do have search and rescue. I tend to avoid the search and rescue ones. This one, for example, is in a de Havilland DHC-2. Not only is the plane a crime against humanity to fly, the problem is you get a fairly large search area, and you basically loop and loop and loop around until you spot something close enough. The problem is that sometimes whatever the item is blended in so perfectly into the terrain because the terrain maybe didn't spawn in correctly, or it's literally just under a tree, that these missions are not rewarding because half the time it's just not possible to find someone. These are a real missed opportunity as far as I'm concerned. I think they could have done a better job at fleshing out these missions because there is a lot of potential for these. Then there are, it's a little hard with all these overlapping icons, but you have medevac flights. Consider yourself an air ambulance. You go from one airport to the next. Since you have a patient in the back, you have to fly extra carefully. Not for me. They are rewarding, they are fun, but I am not a careful enough flyer that I can truly make that worth it. You see the little yellow icon? That's me. That's where my last flight landed. There should be one series of icons left, which are the big yellow ones. I'm not really sure what this one is. It showed up at some point. I've completed it several times. It's a very short one. It's also wildly unrewarding, but it's pretty cool. You just fly around a tornado. We can fly that mission in a little bit. The other ones who have the big yellows are these are missions for your specializations to unlock them. This one, for example, is using the air tractor to fertilize a field. Once you complete it, you will unlock the fertilization specialization, so you will get missions that are for that. Until then, I will not get those missions. Another one here, for example, is aerial construction. This is with the Sky Crane or the Chinook. I don't have that unlocked yet because I haven't done enough of those missions. One other one is here. This is agricultural aviation, however, with an even bigger one. So you need to complete the other one we just saw in North America to complete this one to do bigger agricultural aviation missions. And the last one that I left open, this one is search and rescue hoist. I haven't done enough search and rescue missions. But this is the other big one, which is passenger transport for airlines. These are the missions where you fly the 737s and the Boeings, the large airplanes with a lot of passengers on board. I don't care for them. If you're into that, you know, hats off to you. Enjoy it. I just do not care for these missions. So I think that covers everything that's on the map, which I know that is a lot to go over. You have employee or freelancer missions. Freelancer missions you can pick up with your own airplanes or helicopters. Now, you saw that I own 3 helicopters in my business. However, I have those helicopters crewed, so they're working by themselves. So I'm not going to be taking any freelancer missions while they're making money for me. Instead, I fly employee missions, which is, you know, basically I'm flying for the company. These make less money but are generally easier. And what is the current time here? It's evening time, so doing a first flight in the evening is probably not very rewarding as far as visuals go. But we can go here into the desert and find something. G36. That's an interesting choice. So we'll just do the most basic mission, because if you're intended on flying career mode, this is what you're going to be doing. Granted, the planes that you usually start with on your first flights are like this little Cessnas, and they'll go fairly slow. Now, you go into a briefing menu. It just tells you who's going to be on board, how difficult it is, what your money is, what the estimated, you know, time is for the mission, what plane you're going to be flying, a short brief. The brief is kind of like an AI generated thing. Your schedule, you depart and arrive from the same airport. It shows you that's, you know, about 11 minutes apart. It tells you if you're flying IFR or VFR, but for this it would always be VFR. In the main area of the screen, you do see your entire flight path, which can be pretty helpful to kind of get an idea of what they expect from you. You have your distance, your fuel, you can turn clouds on or off, and you can open your EFB from here. Your little flight tablet, which also shows you the flight planner, the entire flight plan, and it shows you kind of what the expectation is. So we're going to go ahead and accept this mission and kind of walk through how these missions go. As a reminder as well, I am still flying with a VelocityOne Flightstick and using a Saitek Quadrant to control the throttle, RPMs, and fuel mixture. So it's the same as I did in the previous videos. This is my setup that I use for flight siming. I think it's easier, but as I've said in other videos, you can do this with something as easy as an Xbox controller if you wanted to. So now that we're on the mission screen itself, you can see the plane that we've been assigned with whatever this Pete Mondrian paint job is. It kind of repeats a lot of the same things over. You can see the mission criteria. This is kind of important. Sightseeing quality, flight smoothness, landing smoothness. The criteria will change depending on the mission, because for a search and rescue mission, they are not going to care at all about your landing smoothness. So, nor your sightseeing qualities, to be honest. I think we're good to go. You can manage your fuel if you want to, but this is an insane amount of fuel for such a short flight. So we're going to go ahead and hit fly and move from there. Now I know it took us 25 minutes to even get to the plane, but it's going to take us a little bit longer, because as we start out, you can see in the top right corner you have your mission steps, right? You can skip all of these. You can skip to taxi, skip to takeoff, and just start flying right away. You do get less XP and less money because of that. So some of these things that are as easy as, in this case, removing chocks, engine cover, and pilot cover, or not pilot cover, pitot cover, I don't know how to pronounce it. You can figure it out. This little thing. There you go. You remove that one, remove the chock blocks, and the engine cover, and you are donezo. And that way you don't miss out on any of it. So we're going to request boarding and let these folks get on. And we're going to go ahead and start up.
Ready to give someone a reason to love the sky. Your guest today is John. I'm sure you'll have a great time with him. He's super nice and curious to know more about our aviation world. We've been meaning to arrange this ride over the place for a while. Now's the perfect chance to do it with you. Has your passenger fastened his seatbelt? Then you're good to go. Let's do it.
It's only a little jarring that you turn around and dude is just sitting directly behind you. Yeah, I prefer that people wouldn't. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and request our taxi clearance.
Dips 1-1, IT Mike Romeo, Zulu 501 tree with Yankee. Request taxi to the active, west departure.
Dips 1-1 IT Mike Romeo Zulu 501 tree. Taxi to and hold short of runway 19er via taxiway Bravo Alpha. Contact tower on 121.0 when ready.
Now you see,
Taxiing, hold short runway 19er.
in career mode you do have to control your own radio. Missing radio calls means you will also get points deducted. Doing things without getting clearance will get you points deducted, so you have to do those things.
I'm John. Never had the chance to fly over Citrus Park before, and I'm thrilled. So I'm counting on you to show me lots of cool stuff around my place.
What's interesting here is that it's not showing me my hold short where I'm supposed to go, and I could skip to takeoff, but we're just going to go ahead and make our way onto the runway. Pretend like we don't know any better. There it is. You can see kind of a bluish thing in the distance. This is another thing that can get you points deducted, is if you go over the taxi speed. I am a speed demon. I will often purposely or accidentally end up going over the speed limit, even though I have my throttle set really low. I'll crank down the RPMs a little bit. You can use the brake, but you can see kind of that it's a little jerky. Not sure if we're still in the right place, but we're gonna make it work. In case you're curious, this plane is also off-road capable. All planes are, until they're not. So we're just gonna go ahead and follow it here. Normally, it will show you a path to your hold short, but depending on the airport, it just doesn't always do that, and sometimes the layout is kind of crappy. And I mean, you see the environment here, the whole thing is not very pretty. The plane is, but the environment is not. There we go. And we're just going to throw the handbrake on. We're going to go ahead and request clearance. And then sit and wait for 5 minutes for the radio traffic to go.
Ready for departure to the west at runway 19er.
Dips 1-1 IT Mike Romeo Zulu 501 tree. Altimeter 29er 2 west departure approved. Cleared for takeoff runway 19er.
Alright, I think that means we're good to go.
Cleared for takeoff runway 19er. Dips 1-1 IT Mike Romeo Zulu 501 tree.
Took the handbrake off. And we're just gonna give it a little bit more power. I know you're normally supposed to kind of stop at the start of the runway or whatever. We don't do that in this household. As soon as we are on the runway, we are just gonna straight up give it the beans and get going. There we go. You see the mission step changes from enter runway to take off. Just gun it. It's fine. What's the worst that could happen?
Wow, we're flying.
Dips 1-1 IT Mike Romeo Zulu 501 tree. Leaving my airspace. Frequency change approved.
This is the largest challenge, is having to deal with the radio traffic while you're also trying to fly.
Mike Romeo Zulu 501 tree. Frequency change.
This one does not have retractable gears. Alright, and it says fly to Citrus Park. Thankfully, we remember on our little tablet, we can see the flight path we're supposed to take. You can also see it on the screen in front of us. I prefer in general to use the outside view. It kind of wants you to stick around the same altitude that it's set to. I'm a little bit low. It's not going to penalize me for that.
Colors are amazing. It feels surreal.
What it will penalize me for example, is if I start shaking the wings right now, which I won't do. And once again, you saw earlier you could skip the pre-flight steps. You could skip the taxiing to get all the way to takeoff. You can see here that you can also skip all the way to the flight scene portion. And what this does is just your screen fades to black,
Everything okay?
and it loads you right back in on the next mission step.
And it's surely thanks to my pilot.
I'll let you take it all in. We'll catch up afterwards.
The AI generated chat prompts after a while get a little same. But we're very glad and excited that the creepy man that is sitting directly behind me is having a good time. Look at that smile. That's the smile of someone who's having a great time. I don't want to see that man anymore. Go ahead.
Must be like the king of the world. Fly over our beautiful region.
John, stop talking to me while I'm flying. I'm fairly certain you could also use your autopilot for this.
I know we're off track, but it's not bad at all.
For the love of all that is holy, John, please stop talking to me. I'm flying, you're sitting. Leave it there, please. We are still gaining altitude, so I should probably put my nose down a little bit. Yeah, I'm fairly certain since there is a flight path you could use the autopilot. I'm not sure how much you would get out of that. Now before we get to the flight scene portion here at Citrus Park, you'll see that there will be... John, you need to stop. You will see the requirements will change because the flight scene itself will start. And what it will basically tell me is to maintain an altitude, maintain below a certain speed, and go through the little sightseeing ring that it generates. Ooh, I am way low. That's interesting. I've actually never seen it happen, so normally it should be showing you a blue ring. Let's go into our settings. And make sure... Pretty sure it's this one that should be on. Let me turn both of them on and just make sure. Oh, goodness gracious. Wait, an altitude of 2,200 feet? Only at 1,200 feet. We're gonna go ahead and scare the heebie-jeebies out of this man by quickly descending.
We're going so fast that it's hard to admire the scenery.
Yeah. We'll be in the loop soon enough, good sir. Okay, we're almost at the right altitude. Drop.
Flying would be more serene, you know? This is a little too fast for me.
Yes.
We're losing the details here. I just wish we were closer.
Alright, we're meeting one of them. And we just have to kind of take the speed out of it, which it will... It's dropping already. Now we'll get points deducted for all of that.
Serene, you know? This is a little too fast for me. I thought flying would be
There we go.
serene, you know? This is a little too fast for me.
Well, you can't complain about the speed if we're this slow. And you just go loopy-loopy-loop around this. Ideally, you would hit green on all of that. And... we're gonna go ahead and...
Dibs 1-1, IT Mike Romeo Zulu 501 tree is 9 miles west, 2,200 feet, with Yankee to land.
Dibs 1-1 IT Mike Romeo Zulu 501 tree, Glendale Tower.
There we go.
Altimeter 29902. Enter left traffic runway 19er.
I probably got my reference altitude wrong there, which wouldn't be the first time that's happened.
Dibs 1-1 IT Mike Romeo Zulu 501 tree.
If you keep this on, it will show you every waypoint. If you turn it off, it just expects you to follow the path that's laid out.
I want to act sophisticated, but I'm as excited as a little kid at a carnival.
Like I said before, if you want to see what deducts points, like if you do this, you'll eventually... There you go. So I expect you to hold a pretty steady flight for these passengers. And like I said at the start, you will be doing a lot of these to begin with. A lot of them are very short. Some of them will have like 3 points of interest that it expects you to loop around. Eventually you will get a little tired of flying the same loops over and over again. But in bases, this is the most basic mission that you are going to be working. And if you wanted to see what the skip function looks like, you fade to black. And the moment you come back, you better be ready to take a hold of the wheel again, because your plane will just spawn in a position. And it might not always spawn in a favorable location.
Welcome back, aviators. Are you okay, John? Ready to give it a go again?
I didn't see everything, but I'll remember this day for a long time.
Whatever the spaghetti pattern is, I don't care for it. So instead we're just gonna go my own pattern. What's the worst that could happen? We are pretty low speed. It always uses these same kind of loopy patterns. I'm sure that's very official and all. I don't care for it. I like just a long straight final approach. So that's exactly what we're gonna do here. You do not get points deducted for deciding to make a longer final for yourself. Sort of kind of lining up. I have runway anxiety. I will always try to touch down as soon as the runway's in sight. I don't know. I know I don't have to, but I will. So we're gonna go ahead and take the speed out. Flaps down. And we're gonna make it a wildly uncomfortable landing for this passenger because I do not care for John. Now, all in all, I feel like we gave John a pretty exciting flight. So we're gonna land, and we're basically gonna skip the, we're not gonna land on the highway. Like I said, I have runway anxiety. As soon as the runway's in sight, I will attempt to land. And we are on the ground. And then the hold short is right over there. We're just gonna exit here. Who's gonna tell us we can't? probably need to take the speed out so that we don't get any dings for speeding on the taxiway. And we're gonna go ahead and throw. Oh, we stopped a little early. There you go. You can see in the top. Oh, there it goes. You can hit Alt-N to skip to shutdown. I'm fairly certain shutdown itself is just pressing Control-Shift-E, and that is the entire shutdown procedure. So we'll do that so we don't lose any points on that.
Even if everything wasn't perfect, our guest still enjoyed flying over his place. And you'll improve each time. I'm sure of that.
Anyone want to take a guess if that was an A, B, C, D, E, or F flight? Because I'm going to guess it was probably a C. No, a D, because I purposely swung the airplane around. So, what do they say? C's get degrees? Oh, with the bonus, it's even a B. Oh, wonderful. So now that we're here, you get a recap of the mission. The sightseeing quality was very low because I was at an insanely high altitude, and that was my fault for having an incorrect reference altitude. Flight smoothness, surprisingly at 71%, despite purposely jostling the airplane around. Landing smoothness at 100%, that's rare for me. I like to just dump it on the floor. Good on me, I guess. Aviator performances, this is kind of one that does hurt you a lot, and that is if you miss markers or milestones, sorry. Surprisingly, I didn't get any points deducted, but one of the big ones you'll see in here, for example, is missed air traffic controller calls. And at the bottom, you see the DCBAS. I'm surprised that it was still a B flight, but apparently it was good enough. So you can take a look at some of your common mistakes. Radio communications, cruise altitude, speed, speed limits, missed transmissions, taxi speeding. This is one that I regularly do, speeding. Not respecting the where you're supposed to go. Landing lights is a big one. I have my landing lights mapped to a button, but sometimes when you're too busy with flying the actual plane, responding to ATC calls, you forget them. And a lot of this, these are very obvious things. Flaps extended max speed is something you shouldn't be doing. It happens though. And don't crash. Don't crash is the big one. Honestly, that's the number one. So now the big question is, how much do you get paid for that? Well, obviously, I give that man a terrible flight. You can see the base income is 12. The employer commission is 11 and change, leaving like, what, $300? You get a reputation bonus. The higher your reputation, the bigger your bonus. The no skip bonus. The more you skip, the lower this will be. Up to 0 if you skip everything. My total income is 630 credits for a 15-minute flight. So that's pathetic income, right? But this is how you start out. And this is what will happen to you a lot of the time. I lost a tiny smidge of my reputation there. And I apparently did get more XP. So that is the most simple mission. So if you want to make a lot more money, you will end up buying your own airplane, and you will start doing freelancer missions, right? However, I think you just saw that this map expanded as well, because I played a mission that was a little further south. The bubble expanded further south. So if you do want to do these kinds of missions and you want to make a little bit more money, this should be a fairly easy one. and I'll kind of show you what it looks like if you're just skipping through most of it. And while we wait for it to load, just a reminder, if you want to know more about the helicopter flying and free flight, which is where I spent most of my time, take a look at the previous 2 videos as well. It might give you maybe a better impression of what the game is all about. I think that after Flight Simulator 2020, career mode is something that was added because a lot of people wanted it, but I think the execution of this is not what people expected from it. So, we've got ourselves a little jet. You can see the mission criteria have changed: passenger satisfaction, procedure compliance, ensure aircraft integrity. I think they mean I probably shouldn't crash into things, which I'm not. I don't intend to. Let me put it that way. If you're observant, you also would have noticed that my character's outfit changed from a casual flight jacket to a uniform. When you go through character creation, and I think afterwards as well, you can update it. You can pick what your character looks like, as well as if you want to add specific types of uniforms. Alright, so look at that uniform with the weirdly short tie. Ugh. Ugh. Alright, well, it's wearing a bra, so we're just gonna go ahead and skip and let someone else do the work there. The next step would be the boarding call, which is what we're looking at here. Everybody gets thrown on the plane, and the next step is going to be skipping to takeoff.
See, you're already getting everything prepped for our passenger, Madam Haley. We expect all of you to provide her with the best of service. I know I can count on you.
These communication prompts take longer than the flight itself. We're going to announce the taxi and just hit the skip button. Alright, we're going to announce our takeoff, release the parking brakes, and as I said before, we're just going to wheel onto the runway, and we're just going to give it the beans. Passengers will be satisfied with this.
Welcome on board this flight to Natawa. I'm First Officer David Finch, and I'm here to ensure you have an enjoyable flight to Natawa today.
I don't know who this first officer is, but he's probably not going to enjoy it.
Let us know. I gently remind you to fasten your seatbelt, and that this is a non-smoking flight. You'll find a safety briefing card in the seat pocket in front of you. Prepare
And we're just going to go ahead and take off. Woohoo! $33,000. Oh, no. I probably should have set the,
Dips 1-1 IT Romeo Alpha Whiskey Tree is type Cessna C25C.
oh goodness, 33,000 we said, I think.
3,600 feet. Request flight following.
Okay, this is,
Dips 1-1 IT Romeo Alpha Whiskey
okay, we have it set for 33,000.
Squawk 6717.
Half bank mode on. And then you still have to respond to the radio. If you don't respond fast enough, it will deduct points for transmissions. I'm trying not to fly like an absolute hellion to prevent losing any points. And then you still have to respond to the radio. There we go, and there's the next request. I'm not holding my flight stick right now either. Yes, yes. Heard you the first time. Oh my goodness. I can't believe they complained about my speed. I'm just trying to get places real fast. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and see if the autopilot can take over from here. Doesn't have... Yes, radio.
Turn left heading 040. Resume own navigation.
Autopilot's on, flight director's on.
Tips 1-1 IT Romeo Alpha Whiskey Tree.
Nav mode is on. Half bank mode is on. Flight level change mode is on. I think that's as good as it gets. And just keep an eye on it and see if it actually goes onto the line. It doesn't seem to work. Make a little course correction here. Come on, stupid plane. Alright, so I have autopilot on, flight level change on. I'm just holding the stick so that we sort of kind of stay on track. I could turn on heading mode, but in this case, I might as well just hold the stick a little bit. I can actually do my job or whatever. 20. Now what you could see though is once we're on the runway, that's the last moment you can kind of skip until you get to your cruise altitude. Once you're at cruise altitude, at that point you're allowed to skip to the landing, but the part between takeoff and getting to cruise altitude you have to do, whether you like it or not. I guess it is also partially to make sure you do the most difficult parts of the flight and to stop people from just skipping through the entire flight. My goodness, what is this plane doing?
Autopilot.
It's like the flight director is trying to throw me in the bushes or something. Let's make our life easier and just set this one. Direct to 61 degrees. Where's my heading? 61. Autopilot, flight level change, heading mode. that ought to do. We can look around the cockpit for a little bit. I don't know who that is. There's probably people back there. I mean, we're already at almost 27,000 feet. We are gunning it through the sky. We're doing great. I will say, from up here, the environments look really good. Compared to other flight simulators, this is pretty cool. We have about 4,000 feet to go, and at that point we can put ourselves in skip mode again and skip all the way to the landing. This is one of those tricky moments where you can lose points if you're not paying attention, especially if you go on autopilot. You will miss some of these transmissions. You can see my little tablet in the cockpit as well. If you enjoy flying with just the cockpit view, you usually... Oh, there we go. And like I said, you're at cruising altitude now, and it basically tells you, like, congratulations, you did a good job. Go ahead and skip the descent if you want to. Which is exactly what we're going to do. And there we go. You just get... See, you just get dumped in a position.
Autopilot.
And so you have to kind of respond to what you are seeing immediately in front of you. You have a radio transmission waiting. You are over speed. It is still trying to get me up to 33,000 feet despite being on approach. The whole thing is, plainly spoken, a little bit of a clusterfuck. I think we are going way too fast at this point in time. We're doing pretty good on dropping speed now. You still have to deal with the irritating radio transmissions while you're trying to focus on landing. It's not like I have a co-pilot that could deal with that or anything. Let's turn on the landing lights. See, I remember this time. And we're gonna fly to plane type jet. You can see in the top right corner. It bugs out from time to time. That panel is very finicky and will bug out regularly. It also still tells me to reach 33,000 feet, even though it already acknowledged that I'm on final approach. And as we're this close, it still says to contact the arriving airport. So if I land now, before I announce on final, I will get dinged for that. We're gonna buzz the treetops here. There we go. We're just gonna dump this thing on the tarmac here. Too low, too low, too low. There we go. And you have landed. And as you can see, the blue box appear in the distance. That's our hold short. The airplane is currently just rolling. Let's give it a little bit of speed. Oh. Now watch, you just saw the hold short box move from one place to the next. And it's still giving me the same instruction. If I leave the runway now, I will probably get dinged for entering the taxiway without announcing. It wouldn't be the first time that's happened. But we'll find out. Either way, that box just randomly deciding to move is not great. Alright, we're going to go ahead and skip the shutdown from here.
That was a smooth ride. Thanks for the safe travel, Captain. I will recommend your company.
Now remember, this was a job that for the employer pays, like, what was it, 35 grand? We'll be lucky if we walk away with 1,000 here. But let's find out. Say what you want, but that was still a B. So if you look at the performance, passenger satisfaction, you can understand it's low because I flew this thing like it owed me rent money. Airline procedures, I'm fairly certain it counted one of the announcements missed. Respect and condition of the aircraft, surprisingly, despite putting the gear down at way too high a speed, putting the flaps down at too high a speed, exceeding the speed limit below 10,000 feet. 99%. That's pretty good. And I obviously went over speed for my aviator performance, all in all. It's a solid B, I'd say. So, when you look at this stuff, like the base income, employer commission, blah 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 blah, all of it literally means nothing. The only part that matters to you is what you see on the right side, your total income. And as the last one, I will show you a mission that I think is at least fun. Let's see if we can find ourselves. Oh, because we flew to a new destination, so we get a new circle. That's search and rescue. There we go. Let's do one of the firefighting missions so you kind of get an idea what those look like. I generally enjoy them. This one is with a small little airplane. It's been a while since I've flown these. It's quite honestly been a while since I've flown career mode. It has a lot to do with all of the bugs that people have had recently, including myself. Still, I think it would be fun if they had a more carefree way of doing these missions without them necessarily being tied to career mode. Either way, let's go ahead and check this one out. We're skipping over all of the basic ones because we've gone over that before. You know what an airplane looks like. As you can see, I've gone through another outfit change.
Fire reported at Atlantic City. Please get ready.
This one does not have any preparation. You just get straight into the airplane and start up the engine.
You're the most skilled units for this task, so get on site and put out the fire for our strike team. This place is like a powder keg. The fire's going to burn everything, that's for sure. We count on you not stopping till it's done right. Your mission is to clear this fire, and fast. Come on, guys, it's all up to you.
One thing that's interesting to remember here is in the top right, you see it says announce taxi. Announcing means you're not asking for permission, you're just going. At least you don't have to wait on anyone in particular. Yeah, my wing's gonna clip that airplane. Boop. Right through it. It would be somewhat hilarious if it had a collision model for other airplanes on the ground. We are once again at our hold short. We're gonna Tokyo drift into the box. And hurry up, little mission box. There we go. We're gonna go ahead and announce our takeoff.
Kilo Alpha, India Yankee traffic. Dips 1-1, IT Foxtrot Foxtrot, Delta 2512. Taking off runway 11.
Tokyo drift onto the runway, and there we go. And the little wheels go. Engine over torque. Okay. I mean, granted, I am a little bit.
Coordinates of the fire front 39 north, 74 west. The ATGS is leading the operation. You'll be working with Eagle Eye to coordinate your first drop. After dropping your initial load, rest coop at the water source. Check your map for where to drop and where to resupply.
I'll drop
This
my
fire
load
will leave
alright.
a gash in the vegetation for years if you don't snuff it out now. Dips 1-1 IT, we're counting on you to hold the line. Over.
So, in this case, it's about 20 nautical miles. We're completely fine skipping that. And we'll get to the fun part, which is dropping water.
Dips 1-1 IT July. Thanks for joining.
You can see the little puff of smoke.
Together today. One water loads max. Your water tanks are maxed out. Initiate first drop.
And I'm going to go ahead
Dips
and
1-1 IT area is clear.
drop the speed. And you can see in the top right corner, altitude of 100 feet above the fire, speed of 110 knots, drop your water and extinguish. Sounds easy on paper. Should be easy. It's not easy, turns out. There we go. Like you're right over the treetops, and I have to give it a little bit of power before I crash. There we go. Now it should have enough power to maintain that speed. Go. And we're gonna drop right about now. Did we get it? I don't think we got it. That's interesting.
As soon as I get a clear view, I'll radio you how's that drop.
I've never had it happen like that. Oh, yes, yes, I'm over-torquing the engine.
Dips 1-1 IT. You dropped the payload at the wrong spot. Try it again. Dips 1-1 IT. It was supposed to be your final rotation, but we got a few more flames here. Refill one last time to blow this fire out. Let's do this.
You know what?
Coordinates of the scooping site 39 north.
We can just restart it to make our life a little bit easier. That's pretty rare that I've missed it before, but I have had it before where you press and hold Z because you have to press and hold it, and it started dropping like a little bit and then just never dropped again. So we're going to give that a second try and see what it does this time.
You're the most skilled units for this task, so get on site and put out the fire for our strike team. This place is like a powder keg. The fire's going to burn everything, that's for sure. We count on you not stopping till it's done right. Your mission is to clear this fire and fast. Come on, guys, it's all up to you.
Skip to takeoff. And we are once again gonna Tokyo drift right onto the high. Here. And just gun it. This is completely fine. This is what professional pilots do too, I can assure you. They don't. Whoop. We got the gears in. We're gonna climb real fast. And this time we're not gonna over torque the engine. right, little engine? The engine's green, so that's good. I could go oh, it's going red. There we go. Alright. Now, while we're loading it... Ooh, that is not where my camera should be. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and try this again. Bring us all the way down. Keep the RPMs at about 75%, throttle at about 50. Well, let's take some of the speed out first. Speed is good. Altitude's a little high. There we go. Like, you are really buzzing right above the trees here. Give this another try. And we are here. And now this time it did go okay. There you go.
Feels good to see this area still intact. End of the mission dips 1-1 IT. Good work. Fly home safe.
Let's see. These are all green. Perfect. Alright, while we fly back the last little bit, I think I'm going to wrap this one up as well. As you can kind of tell from my level, the fact that I already do have a company functional, I have played quite a lot of career mode. I have progressed in some areas. I have kind of left other areas by the wayside. I think there's a lot of good in career mode. My main problem with it is that there are a lot of issues with career mode. There's a lot of things wrong with it. There are a lot of people that still complain about crashes, about being dinged for things they shouldn't be dinged for. In general, people have a fairly negative view of it. I think a possible solution for it would be if Microsoft just says, you know what, maybe career mode isn't what people wanted from it. Maybe that put too much pressure on things. And instead just give people a lower effort option, which is the same missions, but without the whole company aspect to it. Because what does a firefighting airplane care about whether the company makes money or not, right? But you just saw, it's a lot of fun. It's a little bit of precision flying. It's fun to drop the water. It's cool to see, like, oh yay, the flames go out. It's a fun little mission. As a standalone mission, if you offered me this as, for example, an activity or a challenge, for example, I most definitely would. My main concern with this too is that you're limited to the areas that you have unlocked. Meaning to say, if you don't pick a desirable location when you start, you are kind of stuck in crappy locations. And I say that while I'm flying back to Atlantic City, who in their right mind wants to be stuck in Atlantic City, right? So I think there's a lot of good to it. I think the missions themselves are a lot of fun. I do think that there is a fun component sometimes in flying cargo missions. Sometimes I enjoy passenger missions if it's like a nice little jet that you get to use. So there's a lot of good to it, but it doesn't outweigh the bad. It doesn't outweigh that it's poorly implemented, that it's missing refinement, that it's missing focus, and that it's also missing essential pieces. Like you saw in the portion where I showed you where you get all of your credentials, right? It's still missing 2 of them. And we're on Sim Update 3, or SU3 as it's called. That is the 3rd Sim update since the game was released in November of last year. So it's approaching a birthday. It's had performance improvements since then, but performance is still lackluster. And a lot of these things are still missing. I think overall, this is a game that has a lot of potential, that can be a lot of fun, but it needs way more polish. And that kind of comes back to a complaint that you'll hear a lot if you go, for example, on the Flight Simulator subreddit. The number one complaint that people have is like they're still developing a product that is essentially in beta. I don't disagree with that. I do disagree with the notion that it is not fun at all. I definitely have fun, or I wouldn't be playing the game, or I wouldn't be at level 130 in career mode. But is this where I get the most fun out of the game? Not anymore. I mostly just enjoy free flight. So, at the end of the day, I think if you took the missions out and just made them their own module without the whole career portion of it, people would probably get just as much fun out of it. That said, if you're into career mode, if you're into career progression, and you like the idea of bigger, longer missions, of earning these, credits and buying more planes until you have a stable full of them, I think you would probably very much enjoy that. I just don't think that the appeal is there for the core crowd that plays flight simulator games. I think that would have been more effective in a mission format. All of that said, I hope this kind of gives you an idea of what career mode looks like, the things that you do in career mode, and whether or not that is something you would enjoy, because it's not for everyone. And we're going to go ahead and try to not crash land on the last portion here while we're coming down. Final is right in front of us, as is the runway. There it is. We're going to go ahead and bring this thing down. And as you can tell, I'm having fun with this. So it's hard for me to criticize it, but I definitely acknowledge that there are pieces missing, and that it's disappointing that it's shipped as an incomplete product. I think if Microsoft and Asobo really put some focus on completing it as a product, people would be a lot more satisfied with it. But until they do, I feel like this is just half-baked. That said, this is the only place that I can do these types of missions, so I will continue to play for these types of missions, especially if it allows me to unlock pieces of the map that allow me to not fly in Atlantic City. To not fly in New Jersey at all would be a boon. So, hopefully this has been educational for you. Hopefully you've learned something. Hopefully you have an idea of what career mode looks like. Once again, if you want to kind of know more about the flying itself, or want to know more about the helicopters, I would highly recommend that you check out the previous 2 videos. I will likely be picking up more free flight videos again, I very thoroughly enjoy free flight videos, especially longer flights of 4, 5, 6 hours. Just flying around the globe, especially at lower altitude where you kind of get to see the world. It's a fun little activity to do and spend some time doing. So I will hopefully be back with that soon. We're gonna see if we can land this thing without crashing. There we go. Look at that. Perfect. Even if I do say so myself. And there we go. The box. Oh, there you go. The box disappears, and it gives me a ding for it. Isn't that something? So you got to enjoy that at the end, where it just kind of screws you over. And we're gonna go ahead and shut this one down and finish the mission up. Like I said, I hope this has at least been educational, informational. Hopefully you learned a little bit about what career mode entails, what you can do in it, what you can't do in it, and whether or not that's something for you. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments, and otherwise I hope to see y'all in the next video. Look at that, an S tier. Have a great day.